Hey guys, my name is Bryce, and today I'll be doing a unboxing and video review of Umarak the Hunter. And the reason why I'm posting this video now is that the time that they are actually selling these hot off the shelves, I didn't pick one up. The prices have gone down a little bit, and also since the sad announcement that Bionicle is being discontinued, it's kind of one of the last sets that I figured I'd try and get my hands on. Before it's either gone for good or at least goes up to be very expensive to find somewhere online. But also, as you can see, having the Mask of Control is something I want to have for like my next Makuta MOC. I'm planning to do 3. One I've already completed that has like a 3D printed mask that I designed myself from like early screen grabs. Not terribly accurate. The next one I already have a bit of work being done, and it's going to be like this crazy, very intricate, very kind of gory Makuta. And then what I'm just going to have is like the regular mask here. Skipping ahead from that though, let's open up the box. So just to quickly look at the Mask of Control, comparing it to the Mask of Creation by Kimu, Makuta's mask is very much like a ram's head with like an additional middle horn here. It focuses a lot on the sort of middle injection site, as does the Kimu to some degree, but it's much more pronounced, which is interesting just to compare them side by side. They're so distinctly different, it's actually hard to tell that they're brothers. Nevertheless though, they both share the ability to have such tiny little runes and everything sort of printed on them that it's really interesting detailing. I really like the color of this sort of, how can I describe it besides, I guess, just like liver color? It's definitely not like a good guy kind of deep red. It's like a very much like an oxblood sort of color, and that's me getting really into design school technicalities. But I want to talk about how this and this sort of dark color, which they used for the horns and everything, I think this would have been a great color to see a lot more of in all the different skull creatures, like all the skeletal parts. Instead of having you know, a lot of sort of gunmetal and stuff, this would have been great to show like it's really old bone. It hasn't been bleached out by the sun. It's just kind of nasty and dirty, and also having these pieces as sort of like expired flesh or something like that to really give a more of like a medieval theme. Even just going with like the Metru colors as opposed to the sort of brighter colors they did would have been a great contrast, and then just obviously a lot of black. Now, going to this part though, I don't think it was quite assembled properly, so I'll just snap it together now. But my one issue with having these swords is that according to how it's made, you can see that all the plastic goes into this one point. I would have much rather had this somewhere else further up or further down, but then also have another place to have essentially like a hole for pins or axles and things like that. Because essentially in this sword, you actually have to add a whole other longer handle, and it would have been nicer just to have this incorporated or have some other attachment points along here, because it's very clear that they added a little bit more plastic just to accommodate for being able to hold on to this. But aside from that though, the feet design is really cool with how flexible it is. Really like this so far, and you know, having a little bit of added flexibility is always nice because it can really kind of create sort of dynamic poses. And we're almost at the end. There. At last we have Umarak the Hunter in all of his glory, and for once I'll actually fire these off because I have quite a few studs now. And I'll never see those again. Being able to pose this as straightforward as possible is very difficult across, obviously, any sort of Bionicles that don't have a torso that can really bend around. It's nice being able to also make use of the gear function that lets Umarak pivot and aim and everything, but it makes so much sense to have this weapon, especially given the fact that you know, at the time all the other Toa only really had Kopaka, who had another blaster just ready with them. Gali as well, with the shoulder mounted ones, but that was from being united. Umarak is great to sort of take on the Toa from the shadows, you know, have a few blasts and then be able to fight melee-wise with a sword. He's got a bit of extra ammo. I like the design overall. The legs look a little bit technic, but really, I feel like villains can get away with having more skeletal looks. The horns and the mask, I mean, I think it's mainly the horns themselves that kind of steal the show, are just a great idea. I'm quite happy with how it turned out. It certainly makes the head much more dramatic without adding just like a large flat surface just to have a bigger head for the sake of having a bigger head. Because it's a slim character, but you still want that sort of imposing, you still want to have that sort of imposing design to it. So this adds a bit of flair and a bit of drama without actually just making it feel top heavy or anything like that. Speaking of top heavy, these can actually come off and become a shadow trap, so I'll just show that for you now. So this is Umarak's testy shadow trap, which snaps shut in a very satisfying way. And as you can see from Umarak over there, aside from having very, very reduced shoulders and everything, and a few less toes, having these two together seems like just as beneficial as having Umarak, who's a little bit more armored up and has a bit more traction for toes. But I think it's really great that they incorporated this into the design if you wanted to have more of like a sort of large boss, or if you just wanted to have this sort of scuttle ahead, try and take on a few toes as a distraction, meanwhile Umarak could be in the background firing from his bow. So to summarize, this is a very satisfying build. I think there's a lot of process that went into the design of the feet to make it feel very much like it's a regular villain slash animal hybrid. I just like the idea of having the sort of deer horns mixed with something that's more predatory, and like all the color scheme makes sense with even just having the sort of dark red, the black, the green, silver. There's a lot going on, but it's all in kind of the right amounts to make it cohesive and to make it just visually very appealing, particularly for a villain. Even the chest piece has like a nice, reasonable amount of symmetry, and very much fits with him, where it's got a bit of armor, it's got some crazy mouth on it, which at first I thought was going to be something that would move or be animated, but even as it is, it just looks like a pair of jaws that he sort of strapped onto himself as another fearsome component to him. And yeah, I'd say the action feature of being able to sort of spin around and be able to sort of aim at different foes obviously makes sense. So overall, I'd say I'm actually kind of surprised by myself for not having this sooner. It's a really great set, and if you guys can still get it now, definitely run out to your nearest toy store and get it while you can. Anyway, thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.